ANTM.
What made me apply? So I did Top Model twice, and the first one, Britain's Next Top Model, my friend sent it in for me, actually. I think you had to send in photos, a little bio, and my friend sent it in and posted it. And actually, I didn't get in the first time round. And then the producers kind of said, like, come back and, try it again. So I got in second time round. I mean, I was only 18. Feels really young. So when I got through Britain's Next Top Model, I remember it just being so surreal. And I know it's one of these stories, I'm from a little town in Oxfordshire or whatever, but I really was from a tiny village. And I was meant to be going to, oh my gosh, I'm like remembering it as I'm saying it. I was meant to be going to university, and then I took a gap year and I got Britain's Next Top Model, and I didn't go to university, and I went straight into a house with 12 strangers. But I think for Britain's Next Top Model, there were only 2 or 3 rounds. I think you only did 2 rounds. You met the casting people twice. You never met the judges. So I would just like to preface this. Britain's Next Top Model was 10 years ago. America's Next Top Model was a little bit more recent. And if you are one of my friends, then you will know I have a memory like the fish from Finding Nemo. See, I can't remember that one's name. What's that fish? Dory! Dory fish. So on America's Next Top Model, they asked me to do it because of Britain's. And I remember we got on the flight, so I'm going to LA. It's like the second time I've ever been to the States. And we got off and there was a handler, and they said ice. And ice basically meant that you couldn't talk to anyone. So we're in this van, and I recognized some other people from Britain's Next Top Model, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can see Annalise. But they're like, ice, so we couldn't speak. They didn't tell you when you were going to leave the hotel. So one day you just went up to the producers, and they were like, bring your top 3 outfits. So you took 3 outfits up there, and they were like, we like this outfit. And then one day they were just like, do your makeup and put on your outfit. And I remember then we got in a bus and we literally walked out, and that was it. We were filming. We were filming America's Next Top Model, and it was one of the most surreal moments because our opening scene was in Hollywood in that big, I can't remember what it is, like Universal or something. And we were on a float in like full hair and makeup, and then that was it. After that, you can't talk to the crew. You can only talk to the handler, so you're suddenly just thrown into this crazy competition. When you're in the house, I think because it is a competition, it's kind of pitted like that. It's just difficult. I think more or less you kind of do get on with everyone, or I did get on with everyone, but you're just totally different people, and from 2 totally different countries in America's Next Top Model. It was Britain and America. So I don't think there was no one. I would never hate anyone. I'm just not that type of person. But it did create a weird atmosphere because obviously it's a competition and you all want to just keep on going. And I remember obviously wanting to win, but more than anything, I get really bad FOMO and I hate missing out. And I just didn't want to miss out on any photo shoots because you became part of this bubble, and this bubble with the crew and this bubble with the other girls, and nobody else really understood the experience. So it was you just didn't want to leave the bubble. And I think when people got, voted off and they were suddenly on the way back home, I think, gosh, being the first one to go would be really tough. No, do you know, I always get this question, was Top Model scripted? No, it was definitely not scripted. I think honestly, when you're doing a reality TV show with that many girls, you don't need to script it when it's a competition. I just mean sometimes you would know something would be going on, so you'd be in the house and there'd be maybe you'd see a producer scuttling off and you're like, oh, something's happening, and they'd be like, oh, you need to go wait in this room, and then, we had I think Estelle walked into ours or something, and crazy things would happen, or Nigel would come in, or Tyra would have a walk around. So they would kind of congregate you in one area, but they can't script it. They can hint in, I don't know, when you watch Top Model, you have like an interview like this, you have a kind of one-on-one interview. Everyone's always like, do they make you say stuff? And you're like, well, you can't ever really say stuff that you're not going to say. They can try and ask questions and get things out of you, and I guess that's the same across all platforms of reality TV, but you still have to say it, so no, nothing scripted, guys. I think being on set, it was so funny, because every photo shoot, I was just absolutely terrified. And I remember just loving hair and makeup because I was like, oh my gosh, I don't have to go on. Because as soon as you step onto set, you've got 6 cameras. You have all the crew, you have the producers watching you. You then have, the client that you're meant to be, doing your best for. And I think a lot of the girls, when you watch it and you're like, how are they doing that? Or why did they do that wrong? It's because you just get so much in your own head. I don't know, for anyone, when you get in a position where you might be in an interview and someone asks you a question and, you just get in your own head and you lose where you're at. That's exactly what happens in Top Model. And your whole, especially when you're posing or something and there's all that pressure, you just kind of, ugh. But I remember you could also watch the other girls, and that would put you in your own head because you'd be like, oh my gosh, so-and-so's doing really well, or blah, blah, blah. In the final of America's Next Top Model, I remember we were in Macau. We had been shooting, we've been shooting for 2 months. I was so tired. And I really liked the girl that came second, Laura, was super nice, and we always got on really well. And I remember vividly looking at her and being like, I'm never gonna do this. And I remember just thinking, I'm at peace with that, this is okay, she's amazing and gorgeous, and like, she's got this. And they brought us on to do like a final photo shoot with Tyra, and I remember just being like, I can't do anymore, like I'm so tired, I don't know what else I can kind of do. And then after the photo shoot, me and her stood in front of the judges, and they were like, why should you win? And I couldn't think of anything. I had nothing come to me. And Laura gave this really good speech, and I just absolutely froze. And after that, I was like, there is no way that I'm gonna win. So when my face popped up, it was just the strangest feeling. It was like hugs all around. Everyone was like hugging, happy. And then the next minute, the set was being taken down, and we were ready to fly home, and we weren't allowed to talk about it. So it went from like the most insane high of like seeing all the crew and the producers and just being like, oh my gosh, I've done this, to like the set just coming down. And then I think within 8 hours, I was on a plane back to England. My advice to anyone thinking of applying is oh gosh, I know it does sound really corny, but like, I guess, know yourself and stick to it, you know what I mean? You don't need to play a part or try and be someone that, I don't know, maybe certain producers may want to see, or whatever you've got in your head, just don't. And if you do get through, just try as much as you can not to get in your own head. I don't know how that is possible, because I was one of the worst people at it. But yeah, I mean, it's just, you just got to be yourself. And also, I remember before we went on, they were like, don't forget to stand out. You know, people want to watch good TV, and they want to make good TV, so I guess you got to have some kind of oomph in your character. It's funny because, I mean, we all know in Top Model that you don't often get those kind of photo shoots, but we say that, and now with Instagram being so much bigger, you'll look and be like, oh my gosh, that is a really strange shoot, and that does actually happen. I think in Top Model, you're protected, and there's only 14 of you. When you leave that house and you go into that big wide world, there is hundreds and hundreds of models, and there are thousands of girls prettier, and there are 1,000 girls who are better at whatever. So I guess you just need to know your lane. But I mean, real world modeling is a lot tougher. There's just so much more competition. I think winning Top Model was incredible because I'd always wanted to go to the States and live in the States for a little bit, and I was always infatuated. My older sister lived there, and I just thought it was like the coolest place. And it gave me that opportunity, and oh my gosh, allowed you to see the world, like places that I would never have thought, Asia, or just these places you would never go to. I think I underestimated how many people worldwide watch it. Like, still I'll get people on Instagram being like, oh, love from Peru, or love from, and I'm like, this is so surreal. I think it might be on Hulu, I'm not sure, but I think the season, it might be replaying, because I'll be randomly in like Forever 21 and somebody will be like, oh my gosh, you're the girl from Top Model, and I'm like, whoa, it was 5-6 years ago. But yeah, it was honestly, the filming was just a whole lot of fun.